if there's a thing that ADHD can do with a lot of data to be entered, it is hyperfocus on entering said data.
Yep.
So I've basically been doing that with no breaks since about 12 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, good Lord.
Healthy.
Very healthy. I've been drinking water. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Rich Webbin.
And today we will be playing the final part of Tales of Symphonia for the GameCube and PS3, etc., and talking about everything that happens at the end of the game. But before we get started on all of that, how was everybody's week?
I had a week from hell.
Oh, good.
Did you just say good?
Yes.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, I talked about it in the host chat. So I have a 19-year-old cat. I got her back in 2008. I was told she was 6, so that would make her 19. And she is one of the sweetest cats in the entire world. And I had to take her to the vet for a couple of ingrown claws, which I did not know was a thing that could happen to cats. It can. Check your cat's claws. So I took her to the vet, and they're only doing curbside service. And so I thought that I couldn't go in with her, except that later on I saw people going in with their pets, and I got very angry because she was also getting a rabies vaccine because she was behind. And this cat when she gets stressed out, she gets kind of aggressive. And she was very stressed out because she was going to the vet. And she bit the vet technician.
Whoops.
Oh, no.
And she had not had her rabies shot yet. I know this cat does not have rabies. She is 19 years old and she is strictly indoors. I was told that they were legally obligated to contact animal control, and animal control told me that I had to legally put her in quarantine at a vet for 10 days.
Oh, my God.
Jesus Christ.
I was extremely upset, as you can imagine, because, again, this cat is 19 years old. I don't know how much time I have left with her. 10 days feels like a fucking eternity. And she gets really stressed out when she's taken out of her comfort zone, which is my house.
Yeah.
So, and I don't get to see her. I can't go see her until the 10 days are up. Because every vet is fucking curbside service, even though I'm fully vaccinated, even though I have a mask. It took me at least half a dozen calls to find a vet that had room for her and would take her. And it's going to cost us $600.
That's fucked.
If we had not done this, from what I understand, our only other option would be putting her down.
Yep.
Because I asked, well, what happens if I just bring her home? And they said you would be fined $500 a day for every day that she was not in a facility, and possibly worse because you were impeding an investigation.
Christ.
This cat does not have rabies. If she had rabies, she would have bitten me already.
Jesus Christ. I hate the healthcare system in this country, and it's at least, regulated. I especially despise, every single person that's ever had an encounter with a vet, it's always been something like this. And it's
It's
gross.
fucking awful. It's fucking awful. I'm, and here's the icing on the shit cake. Because I was sobbing my eyes out on the phone, I kept getting misgendered.
Hate it.
So, yeah, I had a fucking horrible week. How about you two?
Another outrageously busy week. I'm endlessly tired every day. I have 2 jobs, and both of them have decided that I work a lot of hours now. But pretty good. Aside from that, I guess I've worked 5-hour shifts every night this week, which is about as much as it is. It's usually between 4 and 5 hours, except sometimes it's 5.5 hours. And this time it's going to come out to around average a little over 5 a day, depending on how tonight goes. If tonight's over 5 or less than 5, but Friday's really busy, so it'll probably be over 5. And really grueling. Last night was probably the most physically demanding and intense shift I've had at this job so far. And then my tutoring, I have to commute to work now, which is a lot. I enjoy both of my jobs, and I'm looking forward to making lots of money. Those paychecks are going to be nice and cha-ching, but I am starting to look for an off-ramp for one of my 2 jobs. See if I can just make one of them work financially. I can't, but I might be able to if I can make some modifications to my life. Working on it. Basically, if I can pick up shifts in one of the jobs and increase the hours, then I can quit the other one, right? Yeah. The other way around would be easier, but I don't want to quit that job. I have one job that I'm committed to and another job that I currently have to pay the bills. So that's the job I'm trying to quit, if possible. Yeah. It's exciting. I'm enjoying the job, but it's just real tiring. What else is going on? Honestly, I have like 3 or 4 things in my life that are really, really exciting, but like I really can't share any of them publicly. They're all good. All good news. If anything bad happened to me this week, I don't remember what it is, and I don't care. Whatever it was, maybe my like parent died or something. Whatever it is, I don't remember. I'm just kidding. My parent didn't die, but I'm just saying that I'm sleepy. I don't remember. And focusing on the positives. But the funny thing about the positives is that I can't share any of them. I'm really excited to share all the positive things about my life in 6 weeks.
Oh yeah,
which is a while. And also Sunday. Alarms, Sunday was Father's Day, which was nice. Gave my dad a call. Had a pretty good dad call, all things considered, as far as dad calls go. Yeah. I don't know. That's it. I'm vibing. I'm ripping. I'm a sleppo.
Nice. I for Father's Day, flashback to Mother's Day. Summer was picking what she wanted to do for the day, and after the kids went to bed, she was like, "You know what? I know, like, you watch the show over my shoulder and all of that stuff, but I want to watch Outlander with you because I really, really like it, and I think that you would like it, and it's my show, and I want to share it with you. It's Mother's Day." And I'm like, cool. We can do this if for Father's Day we can watch Doctor Who, because Outlander and Doctor Who are the exact same television show. Like, they are timey-wimey bullshit that bring sci-fi into a historical setting. Like, it's literally the exact same thing. Both of them are British as fuck. And so she was like, okay, fine, whatever. So for Father's Day, I followed through on that promise, and we watched a bunch of episodes that were spoopy, because my wife likes scary things. And so we watched Girl in the Fireplace to kick it off, because that should be everybody's first episode of Doctor Who. And then we watched Blink and Midnight and whatever the episodes with the silence are, and it was a grand old time. Classic. And then because of watching that, it reminded me that I am way behind on the 8th Doctor audiobooks, so I've been listening to those, and those are great. Highly recommend, if you have a long commute, to check them out. The first, I think think it might be the first 4 seasons. It might only be the first 2 seasons of what's called the main range from Big Finish is available on Spotify. And I know the first 2 seasons of the Eighth Doctor Adventures range are available on Spotify. So you should check those out. It's TV you don't have to look at, so it's great for long drives. But other than that, I worked in the office on Wednesday because we had 19 computers we had to get set up, and I was like, I loved it. Loved going into the office, mostly because my office is right across the street from the Asian grocery, so I got to buy goodies on the way home, and we got to have dumplings from Dumpling House on the way back, and it was so good.
That sounds real good.
Yeah, and the only thing that stunk about going into the office is because I was setting up 19 computers, I had to like walk between those 19 computers all day, which means I did not sit down, which means I was on my feet for a full workday for the first time since I got promoted to manager at the movie theater. I have had extended bouts of sitting at my job ever since. And so when you said that your job was tiring, I know that yours is a lot more tiring than mine is. And I know
get it. If you're not used to it, you're not used to it.
And I know that I would die if I was doing your job because I couldn't even fucking stand up and tippy tappy on a keyboard for 9 hours. So, yeah, but it was great. And I don't remember if I said so last week, but I basically am going to be hired full time. Last I had checked, one of the people that has to like give the okay hadn't given the okay yet, but all of the important people had. So I will, come September, will, God willing, like 99.999% sure that I will be working for Ford Service Corporation. And I'm super excited about that.
That's really, really dope.
Nice.
Yep.
Thank goodness, because this whole like, not even just the like. I feel like the last like couple of years for you have been like, have to get a new job, have a new kid. Now I'm moving. Now I have to get a new job. Now I'm a temp. So like, hell yeah,
yeah. And I really like it here. Love my coworkers. Love my boss. Love what I do. So excited for that. One final thing that I'm excited for is the Crossbell games for the Legend of Heroes Trail series are getting an official localization, and it's based off of the localization that's already done. So it's fast-tracked to come out next year and the year after, which means I had to finagle the Book Club no Kaseki timeline, because instead of playing the fan patches, we're going to be playing the official localization. But I am super stoked on that because I finished playing the Trails in the Sky first chapter last night, like an hour before they announced it. So it's a lot of Trails hype up in here, and I'm super excited. Mostly because like the Trails in the Sky games are a Xenogears like style, but they don't do anything cool with the camera. But the Crossbell games, they're like full on like move the camera, pan the camera, low camera angles. Like it just looks really cool, and I'm excited to play it on my Switch instead of my computer, because computer games suck. But,
yep. Oh, I just realized at my second job, I get to listen to lots, and I listen to music while I'm working because it's manual labor, with one ear, and I also listen to podcasts. And you know what? Real quick, I'm gonna give out some recommendation, because there's one thing. Part of why I've been having such a good week is because I've been listening to all this really good stuff. 2 recommendations. 1, Working Class History, a podcast. It's what it sounds like. It's kind of annoying. The people doing it are very obviously anarchists. They've done about 7 episodes on the IWW, which to me seems like a bit much, considering I've listened to about 20 episodes so far. Look, I love the IWW. I'm just saying that's a bit I don't think you need to have that many percentage of your episodes being about the IWW. Anyway, also, I'm not an anarchist. And sometimes they give very bad faith readings of other people's opinions. But regardless of all the complaints I just gave, it's a really good podcast. And you also listen to it because it's almost all interviews. It's like the hosts say like nothing. They're just doing interviews pretty much. And they're always interviewing people who were either there for whatever it is they're talking about, or if it happened a long time ago, are like professional historians. It's really, really good. And it's all just about things that happened in history. You're not going to get these like super deep, it's all about specific events, not like an overview of like a concept, except for the 7 episodes and counting on the IWW. Second thing though, I listened to, if you want to learn some cool stuff, my boy, my boy Farrell Dobbs gave a 4-part seminar in 1974, I think, to the student chapter of the what's it called, the SWP, Socialist Workers Party. Anyway, he gave a 4-part lecture on the Great Teamster Strike of 1934, and it's one of the best things I've ever listened to in my life regarding any topic. If I cannot pitch it any higher. So if you want to listen to 8 hours of a guy with a really great, like, Atlantic accent, old-ass, timey voice give an incredible speech, check it out. It's public domain, easily available. But the reason I mention that is simply because I realized, since I'm listening to podcasts at work all the time, I should totally listen to the Kazeki games, because I wasn't listening before because I wasn't sure if I wanted to spoil them for myself, and also when would I listen to a podcast. But I just realized as you were talking, wait a second, I listen to podcasts and or seminars and or audiobooks like for 5 hours a day now. So hell yeah. Now I'm gonna know what the hell you're talking about all the time.
Hell yeah. I'm super excited for it because so we're recording an episode on Sunday, and then 2 weeks after that we'll be recording an episode on the prologue of the second game, and then it'll be all new information for me because that's as far as I ever got, was the prologue of the second game. So
excited to catch up with y'all.
I am stoked on that. Speaking of finishing games, though, let's finish this one. So
that's a good idea.
Let's listen to. It probably was a lot of new music. There always is in the final battles.
The final dungeon music is really good. I felt like that meme of Anthony Bourdain where he's like, finally some good fucking music.
That's Gordon Ramsay.
Oh really? Well, there you go. One of those guys, that's funny because one of those guys is good and one of those guys is bad. But apparently I don't remember my memes well enough to remember which guy it was.
One of them is dead, isn't he?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But let's listen to that final dungeon music and then talk about the plot. So, Maddy, did you go back and accept Kratos as your Lord and Savior?
It's a fun fact. First of all, no, I didn't. And second of all, you remember how you were all like, double your saves? Remember double your saves? And last week I was so proud of myself remembering to double my save.
You didn't do it.
No, I did. But this week, shortly after I started playing, I first of all I forgot that I'd said I was going to do that, or maybe I just couldn't decide. Maybe I was like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Right? Yeah. So I'm playing a little bit, and I get to what I think is the final dungeon, and I do what any good gamer girl is supposed to do when you do a final dungeon, which is rotate your saves. But here's the thing: I rotated my save over the save that was my save. Oops. Yeah, so as soon as I was doing it, I was like, wait a second, that was my alternate timeline save. I just say, oh, well, never mind. So me being smart lasted for literally the length of one game save.
Yes.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah. But I am not sure how. Like, I kind of want to do it, and I'm mad at myself for not doubling my save, because seeing how the ending played out, I'm like, it might actually be interesting to have Kratos here for all of these things. But,
yeah, I've got a feeling I get how it would work, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Oh well. Sound off in the comments below if you saved Kratos.
If you're not an idiot.
Yeah. But yeah, so instead of changing timelines and going back and hanging out with Kratos, we instead make our way over to the do we go straight to the Tower of Salvation?
Tower of Salvation, final dungeon, baby. Yeah. It's right there. Because literally at the end of last week, they were like, let's go.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if they were like, let's go, or we need to do a thing. But yeah, so we just head on over to the Tower of Salvation, and there's some like level 20 angels blocking our way, and so apparently we can't get past them this time. So Ewan flags us down and was like, hey, there's a secret passageway to get in so that you can get around these guys.
That cool. Scene was dumb.
It was.
Yeah.
So we make our way around, and Zelos is like, okay, guys, I planned something special for this one. Colette, come with me. I have an idea. And Colette's like, okay, this isn't shady. And she walks forward and gets got by some angels. And Zelos betrayed us. And he's like, oh, I'm just putting myself on the winning side. I never cared about you. I just wanted to side with the strongest. So I just want to join with Mythos because he says he's going to free me from being a chosen of Mana. And we're like, you fucking suck. And he's like, I don't care. And so he takes Colette and runs off. So the angels start to attack us, but then all of the ninjas show up and are like, hey, we'll fight the angels for you, except they don't, because we still have a boss fight with the angels. Whatever.
Also, I want to mention one thing. The reason why... So Zelos' dialogue about why he's bad, actually, he's kind of weirdly cagey. Like, even when he's admitting the fact that he was being sneaky all along, he's being sneaky. I think maybe it might just be weird writing because he's a weird guy. But yeah, he basically like seems kind of like he doesn't clearly explain whether he was bad all along or whether he just decided to be bad because he wants to be on the winning side. It's like sort of not clear at all, but he
like
does
most
say,
other things regarding who's bad and who's good in this game.
But he also does say that Mythos promised to release him from having to be a chosen. He's like, yeah, I hate being a chosen. If I wasn't a chosen, I could just be smashing mad puss all the time. But I can't because I have to be the fucking chosen, which is a little funny because you think that being the chosen probably is pretty good for his game.
Right.
But yeah, so that actually is his stated motivation at this scene.
Mm-hmm. So we run after him because they left their teleporter on. And we go to this place with a shitload of angels that we fight and win because it's no big deal. But after we win, the place starts to crumble, and Regal like pushes us out of the way, like forward through the cave-in, and it falls in between us. And he's like, "Hey, you go on ahead. I'm going to stay behind and fight off these angels." And he does that.
If you're noticing a pattern, good job on the pattern recognition.
Yes. So we are less than 5 minutes into the plot, and we have lost 2 of our party members. Let's see what happens next. So we make our way into this big ass room that has a like writhing piece of the ugly Carlon tree from however many weeks ago. And as we're walking through it, which by the way, we're walking across a bridge, across a chasm, and the room has a walkway that goes the entire way around. We should have just gone around, but we don't. So so to get past the tree, Sheena summons all of her summon spirits just like she did last time, but instead of having to feed it into the mana cannon, she just kaplowies the tree, and we run across. The tree falls, breaks the bridge, and sends out a vine to grab Sheena at the last second. Lloyd is like, "Hey, there was a walkway all the way around. Do you want me to come around and help you?" And she's like, "No, Baka, you can't help me. I'm too cool for that." And so she falls to her death. And
then she has an aside where she calls herself a baka for never being able to accept help. She does, it's literally like a theatrical aside, like, Sheena, you idiot, why couldn't you just let him help you?
I got some real first season of Sailor Moon vibes from this.
Yes.
Like the two end episodes where they, spoiler alert for Sailor Moon, where all the senshi die.
Yep.
How dare you spoil a television show that came out
30 years
ago? 35, 40, literally 40 years ago.
No, I'm not that old.
Wasn't it
Sailor Moon?
It's like 85,
Sailor Moon came
right?
out in the 90s. My birthday is in 85. Sailor Moon came out in like 92 in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I definitely thought it was 80s in Japan.
No.
No. So the next party member to get got is Rain. We're trying to get past a door, but all the controls are booby trapped. So every time she opens one, part of the floor around her falls out. So when she opens all the doors, she falls down, and we just make our way forward. All of these things, basically every person admits that they're ready to die because they trust and believe in Lloyd, and sacrificing themselves for the cause is no big deal. It's all very emotional, but it happens 9 times in a row, so I'm kind of jaded on it.
It's kind of dumb. Also, I will say, like, I'm not sure if this is actually a criticism or if it's a plus on the writing. I'm not really sure, but they weren't consistent on whether or not we were supposed to think, or whether or not the characters themselves thought they were dying or not. Mm-hmm. Like, some of them, the characters were like, I'll catch you later. Like, don't worry, go on ahead. I'll find a way to get back to you. Whereas other characters are like, I'm gonna die and I'm sacrificing myself for you. It was like kind of 50-50. Yeah. The whole time I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure this game wouldn't actually kill all of my party members. On the other hand, this game has randomly gotten super dark for no reason before. So maybe it would. But also, I'm not sure. Also, frankly, and this is my game designer brain, or game mechanic enjoyer brain, I'm like, but also, if the final boss is just a one-on-one battle, that's going to be really boring.
I think we kept getting like armor and gear for the ones who sacrifice themselves too. So I was like,
here's what I do. Whenever I get a treasure chest, I don't pay attention to what it says, and then whenever I am about to do a boss battle, I go into my menu and I go to each character's equipment screen and I click the optimize button, and
that's basically what I do too.
And I equip anything that I may or may not have gotten in the last few dungeons that I wasn't looking at. And then maybe every 10 hours of game, I remember that accessories are a thing, and I look at my accessory list to see if there's anything good. Yeah, that's how I do the equipment in this game.
That's basically how I do it.
I set up my accessories for the second time since the last person joining my party during a boss fight this week, because I think it was even literally during the last couple of Mythos fights, because Rain, she has the EX skill where if she gets interrupted, she gets a faster casting time, but it still wasn't fast enough for her to heal. So I was like, let me go and check. And I had a thing to cut her TP usage in half and to cut her casting time in half. And I'm like, okay, now she's even more of a healing powerhouse than before. And I literally changed it in the last, I don't know, 5 minutes that I played today.
You built her the exact same way I did. Yeah, okay, EX skills. Let's just say all my characters only had 2 EX skills until this week. I'm going through the final dungeon and I'm getting EX gym level 4 like every other treasure chest, and eventually I was like, okay, fine, I'll bite. What are EX skills? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I went and was like, okay, fine, I'll look at what the level 3s are and level 4s are and equip some of them and see what the hell's going on here and maybe try to improve my characters, because if you recall, for the first, 15 hours of the game, I was saying it was really hard, and then that never was the case after that. Uh-huh. So it wasn't until the very end that I was like, okay, fine, I might actually put some effort into this.
Yeah. One thing that... Again, a running theme of playing through this game is how much better all of the other Tales games are. And one of the things that they improve upon is the, EX skills aren't really a thing, but, those sort of skills are attached to titles in both Graces and Berseria. It's probably different in a couple of the others. But they made sure that because a lot of the EX skills here are well, 2 of them give you a magic card style ability, when entering the battlefield, do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and some of the others are just +1 to agility. Mm-hmm. And in the future ones, they take out all the +1 to agility stuff, throw that all in leveling up and equipment and stuff like that where it belongs. And so all of your titles are much more interesting choices, because even if I really needed the agility, I'm not going to pick agility over cutting casting time in half. That's just it's not even a choice really at that point. And so they left it all cool, interesting choices. So if you enjoyed anything about this game, the rest of the series is way better. So you should play those. But anywho, next person to die is Persea. So we come up to a door that has a conspicuous air vent, even though no other doors in the entire game have had conspicuous air vents. And Persea's like, oh,
it's Persea-sized.
She's like, I'm itty bitty, I can fit through. Hoist me up there. So we do. So she jumps through and she opens the door for us, but it's booby-trapped again. And a big smoosher is coming from the ceiling. And so she goes to catch the smoosher or something, but she gets vine whipped by a vine from the wall. So all she can really do is hold up her axe to buy us a little bit of time. So we go in, slide under the thingy, and she gets eaten by the vine. And right after we slide through, it smashes down. So she's trapped behind it. So then it was around this point where you couldn't have a full party of 4 anymore. I don't remember if it was this one or after or earlier, whatever. But the mobs, instead of now being dangerous, they've decided to be to help you out and be easy, and you would only get 1 monster per random battle, which is not even close to an equivalent thing. It made the battles so annoying to get into because they were just wasting your time that I didn't even try to hit a battle for this whole rest of the time. I'm not going to level up off of 1 monster anyways.
Yeah. Also, the battles at this one have just gotten pitifully easy. A lot of them actually pretty interesting. A lot of them have pretty cool moves. I kind of enjoyed fighting them. But yeah, easy to avoid them. Don't need the levels because the game's easy now. So I'm just ship, which again makes it real nice and breezy.
I think I was level 110 by the end of it. I didn't know that you could go past 100. I figured it would stop there, but no, you can keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
But so the next person to get got is Genus. We are walking through, and they use camera and cinematography in this scene for the first time in the whole game.
For which one?
It was genuses where the camera's like swooping around and they're running, trying to get past the force fields. And it looks really cool. And I wish they would have done that the rest of the game.
Force fields. What was genuses?
There were those force fields that were coming toward Genus and...
I remember now. Yep,
yeah.
You're right. Yeah, that did have a lot going on with that one.
Yeah. But basically, the force fields come in to trap you, and Lloyd is like, oh, but if we, like, they're not super strong, so if we attack them with all we got, they'll be open for a split second, and we can zoop through it. And Genus is like, cool, definitely, absolutely. So we zoop through it, and Genus is like, you forget, I'm a caster class. I have no dexterity on my character sheet. I can't zoop through a force field like you can. Yeah. So I'll stay back here.
I gotta take a break once I've cast a spell, or else I'll just pass out or something.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I love how like Lloyd is like, here's my plan, and Genus in his brain is like, that's a stupid plan, but I'm not going to say it because then Lloyd won't do it because he'll do his big stupid hero thing. So I will just go along with his stupid plan, and only after doing it he will realize that his plan was stupid.
Yep. So with Genus out of the way, we now have no one in our party. So we come across the last room of traps, and Lloyd even looks and he's like, wow, there's a lot of traps here. I should be careful. And he doesn't. He just runs straight forward right into a trap, and he gets shot with a arrow. Like an Indiana Jones style wall arrow. Yeah. And he falls down for a second. And I vaguely remember like a cutscene that happens while he's out, but I don't remember what it is, and it's not in the Let's Play, so it's probably not important. So Lloyd gets up, and he's like, oh, I was shot, but how did I survive? And he looks, and it was the little bunny charm that Colette gave him saved his life. If you don't go on a date with Colette to get the bunny charm, he just dodges the arrow at the end. So not going on the date makes him better. Yes. Literally, Colette makes him a worse swordsman with worse reflexes. Yeah, for some, maybe no, he was just too distracted. He was thinking about Colette, like chosen. You know what? I'm not going to say the word puss twice in one podcast.
Oh well, you already did.
or maybe Lloyd is so perfectly aerodynamic that the addition of the rabbit slowed him down enough where he couldn't dodge that last one. That's what it is. But wait, hold on. This is Tales of Symphonia. So chosen hand holding got me like get shot by arrow. Yes. Lloyd gets up and he walks to the top of the little stairs thing that was right there, and there is a sword that should look familiar to you if you're not using a costume for Zelos like I was, so I did not recognize it.
Okay, on that note, I have a quick question. Because I have changed titles, it did not change their costumes.
It's only specific titles. So because I have all the other Tales games, I get costumes from all the other Tales games. But there are also in-game, like their loyalty missions will unlock an alternate costume. Like for Kratos, you know how he has his white, much better looking outfit besides his stupid purple normal one. You can get him to hang out in that white outfit if you go and do his loyalty mission. If you get him back on your team. Gotcha. And everyone has a swimsuit, has a joke costume, and has a alternate costume. And so
I was just using the title that appeared to be the best based on
the stats.
Yep. Yeah.
The costume titles give you no stat bonuses. So
okay.
It only was worth it for to use the Zelos one for me because Zelos as Alvin from Tales of Zillia is a really awesome character design, and Zelos' normal character design I don't like. And since I was going to be walking around as him to talk to all the ladies in the game, I wanted him to look cool. Anywho, so you walk up to the wall, and somebody's sword is hanging in the wall. And Lloyd goes up to touch it, and the wall like glitches out. It was just a hologram. The sword falls to the floor, and he's like, "Huh, that's weird. Wonder if that was a trap or something." Oh well, and he walks forward. In the next room, you have Martell in the Great Seed, all glowy with a like half between like a stasis pod and a cannon with like wires all like jammed into Colette and jammed into Martell. Obviously, some good shit is about to happen. So, Yggdrasil or Mythos is monologuing. It's like, oh, it's finally time. Colette has the closest match to your mana signature. I was like, then why did you say that she was impure and unperfect and could never be used like 4 hours ago? Whatever.
Egging.
Oh, he just makes sense. And so Pronima walks up and is like, "Hey, the man in charge is complete." And Mythos is like, "All right, do the thing." And Lloyd is over my dead body, and Mythos is about to completely destroy Lloyd because he's way stronger than we are. But he gets hit with a fireball by our good friend Genus, who survived. So did all of our friends. They're up on the balcony, and the power of friendship set them free. And everyone has their little like, we would never let you do it by yourself. As long as we live, we fight little feelings thing. I feel like we're short shrifting the feelings that this last part does because it's all good character moments, but there's just a lot of it, and it kind of is redundant. And we've played this JRPG before. It was called Final Fantasy X. But anywho, so first up we fight Pronima, and she was easy. I don't even remember fighting her. I'm just
me either. It was a total nothing fight.
Yeah, I'm being told that we fought Pronima this week from this Let's Play. I do not remember it happening.
I remember that it occurred. I don't think it was anything to write home about. It was not a very exciting thing.
Let me try and remember a single thing about her fight.
I smacked her around a whole lot. I remember that happening.
I think she has this. Yeah, she didn't know how to use the block button. She has a spell that isn't that unique because I think every boss we fight in the rest of this week also has the same spell. But I believe it was pretty unique at the time, which is a real big spell that makes a bunch of space lasers come down and shoot everybody. And it's actually kind of hard to dodge against because it's not like she casts it and then the laser hits you. She casts it and then the lasers start going sort of randomly. So you might, if you're playing as Lloyd, you might do your magic dodge or your magic block. But then when you're doing the magic block, the laser doesn't actually come at you. And then after the magic block is over, the laser's like, haha, what if I came at you? And you're like, fuck. So yeah, that's a spell that I do think every other boss this week also uses. I guess all the bad guys took the same super high level final boss spell class where they learned how to do this. But yeah, that's literally the only thing I can remember about the Pronima fight.
So Pronima goes down, and she was successful in stalling long enough because the big cannon is actually a big vacuum cleaner, and it zoops the soul from Martell and shoves it into Colette. Pronima, all dead and shit from our fight, goes over to ask. She asks Mythos instead of Lord Yggdrasil for help, and he kills her for saying that. And
he's a bit of a dick.
And I think for being worthless, I think the old like, oh, I'm so powerful and you're of no use to me anymore. Haha.
So the vacuum cleaner zoops down Martell's soul, shoves it into Colette, and it opens, and Colette starts speaking with the goddess Martell's voice.
Oh no!
And she's like, oh my God, what have you done? And Mythos is like, oh no, this David Bowie costume, sorry, I just did that so I'd look cooler. I'm still your little brother, it's no big deal. And she's like, I don't give a fuck about that, actually. You're kind of turning the entire world into like mush zombies, and it's not cool. And he's like, wow, even my sister is rejecting me. Wow, like that's real rich coming from you, Martel. And everyone's like, no, we're just begging you to not be evil. And he's like, wow, so I can't even be evil anymore. Okay, whatever. Like, asshole. So he like sparklies and disappears. And I thought that he had like died, but apparently not. Because everyone's like, oh, like he's gone. Everybody, are you okay? Zelos runs in and is like, oh, hey, is like, hey, I'm here. It's no big deal. Then Mythos, like, I guess had just like got out of the way because he's back and he tries to like kill Colette. Zelos pushes her out of the way to save her, and Mythos is like, I thought you wanted to be free from your fate as a chosen. He's like, no, I changed my mind because I want to beat the shit out of you. And he's like, Lloyd, I'm sorry for betraying you. I just wanted to get my hands on this crystal-y thingy that will let you use the Eternal Sword even as a human. And everyone's like, yeah, Zelos was the one that saved us from all of our traps. So he was actually good the whole time. Zelos was like, no, it's not. That's not true. I've been holding you guys back, but I'm hoping I can at least make up for it. So so now at this point, Martel is the one that like poofs away, and she puts her soul back in the Great Seed and frees Colette from his grasp. Mythos is real pissed at this. Is like, oh, you took my sister away from me. He's like crazy at this point. Like he's just like evil laughing constantly, and everything anyone's saying he like comes completely out of left field. So if it's hard to follow, it's half me, half definitely him. So
he basically says he's gonna kill everyone and then return home to his home planet. Actually, no. He doesn't say he's gonna kill everyone. He says he's going to return to his home planet. Which the problem is his home planet is Karlon, and if Karlon flies away, pew, then the planet loses all of its mana and everyone dies. So he's literally just like, screw you guys, I'm going home. So actually we attack him. He's not trying to kill us. He's trying to leave, but we can't let him do that, so we actually attack him.
Yeah, because the Great Tree is no more, we've been relying on Karlon and the bullshit sharing of mana to survive. And so he's like, oh, I'm going to take the Great Seed with me so you can't make a tree, and I'm taking all the mana and I'm getting out of here. So we kick his ass. He was not too hard, and I remember being like, well, that was an easy as fuck final boss. And he didn't even have like a second form. What the fuck? Oh well. But that was not the true final boss, as we find out. So
yeah. Also, we've been joking around and all, but I think this game does go all the way on making you think this is the final boss.
Oh, absolutely.
The whole, like, all of your characters are slowly dying as you progress through the dungeon. Like, it's hitting all the beats of a final dungeon. It's not, although, as I said in the chat, I would feel like a damn fool for getting played by one of the oldest tropes in the book. But in my opinion, this time around, actually this game has literally no structure at all. So I think it's on them. How on earth would I be able to tell what is or isn't the final boss? But yeah, like I literally was like, oh, beat the final boss. And then the game just kind of kept going for a while.
Yeah. So as we kill Mythos, he sparkles up in a way and collapses into his Crucius crystal, which Genus again takes without telling anybody. And we're like, okay, we did it. We beat the final boss. And then Kratos shows up and is like, you didn't do shit. All you did was kill Mythos. The worlds are still split. Everyone's still going to die. Like, nothing is actually over. And we're like, okay, then help us. Use your magical space-time sword and help us fix everything. And he goes, no, you have to defeat me so that you can do it yourself. And we're like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'll be waiting for you at the seal. And we're like, okay. So he leaves, and so Rain is like, Zelos, where did you learn a method for humans to equip the Eternal Sword? Zelos is like, it's better if I don't say. And we're like, what the fuck? And he's like, go to Heimdall. I don't feel like talking. And it's wild. But we eventually make our way to Heimdall. I say eventually because if you want, you can do like 12 hours of side quests right here. It's ridiculous. I did none of them. And I was literally in the final boss. I'm like, oh no, Corinne's dead, and it's all my fault because I didn't go save her from Kuchinawa.
Yeah, I did do one that I will share briefly. I was doing the Kuchinawa quest, where if you recall, Kuchinawa is basically like, hey, me and you are going to fight one-on-one, you know. You actually go back to Mizuho, and there's a relatively lengthy cutscene where you talk with the Elder of Mizuho, and there's this really cool scene that I actually really liked a lot. It was in my memos, but since y'all didn't play this part, I'll just share it now. Where they're just talking, you know, this game is real talky. It really lets the characters share their feelings. So they're talking about like what's the deal with Sheena, what's the deal with Kuchinawa, where did he go and why would he be acting like this? I don't really get it. And then it gets to a point where basically the elder is like, why would he be exiling himself? He didn't do anything wrong. And basically we're trying to make up excuses for why he's being this way, but the elder is like, that doesn't make sense. That's not how, I don't remember the details, but the elder is basically like, that's not how the laws of our village work. That's not how it works. The only way he would actually be unable to come back is if he's like done something that's just like broken one of our most important sacred laws. And basically at this point he asks Lloyd like what's going on, and you can say he was working for the Pope as a double agent, or you can just not say that. And it's really cool because that is the answer. That's why he's being the way he is, but like no one knows that. So you can basically decide to say, yeah, he sucks, or you can like defend his honor basically. So what you do is if you pick the don't say it, basically Lloyd's like, I don't think he says I don't know anything. I think he's just like, I don't feel like I should get involved in this. Sheena can like this is Sheena's business. And Sheena kind of as an aside is like, thanks, Lloyd. So no, like in a good way. Like she's glad that you're protecting Kuchinawa. So we don't say. So no one knows what Kuchinawa did. No one knows why he sucks. Which is cool. It's a cool little scene. You get to make that choice. So then you get on a boat and you go to the special forest where you fight him or whatever. And I got owned. I didn't save beforehand. Because I'm dumb. I don't know. I thought it was going to be like a dungeon, let me save or something, but it's just kind of, you know, sometimes you get trapped in a cutscene and then you get delivered right into a fight. So anyway, it's one-on-one with Sheena, and you can't use items because that wouldn't be honorable or whatever the fuck. Anyway, I get owned, but it's not a game over. If you get owned, that's it. That's the end of the side quest. He gives you back the thing that he'd taken from you. I forget what it was.
Corinne's Bell.
Yeah, Corinne's Bell. He gives it back to you. And he says, like, I can't believe that the person who ruined my life is such a weakling. And then I think he basically runs off and says, I'm still not coming back home because this is like pathetic, basically. And I think it somewhat implied that maybe you can challenge him again and actually resolve the quest. But maybe that's the end of it. I don't really know. I didn't stick around to find out. So either that's the end of it and there's just a good or bad ending, or maybe you can fight him again later. Was Corinne's Bell also part of a quest of some kind?
It was just that.
Yeah, I think maybe you can get Corinne back as a summon somehow.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, anyway, I didn't do anything with the bell. So anyway, so that's what happens with that. And that is the only one of the 10 billion side quests that I did. And I only kind of did it.
Yeah. So we eventually make our way over to Heimdall, and they're like, okay, well, your half-elf friends can't come in. And this time we're like, hey, like, please let them come in. Like, this is kind of an important save the world sort of thing, and Rain's our healer, so it would really suck if she couldn't come with us. And they're like, okay, fine, but they can't use any of our facilities, which is a lie, because you can stay at the inn in a second.
Yeah, I guess facilities, is that just code for restrooms? Are they having to hold it the whole time?
I don't know. But we get a Legend of Dragoon style talk with all of our friends thing, and none of it is super important except for Genus reveals that he has Mythos's Crucius Crystal, and he's like, the reason I grabbed it is just like how Alicia's soul was in hers and Marble's was in hers, etc., etc. I want to at least show Mythos the healed world, because he wanted peace, even if he was going about it the really bad way. And we're like, oh, that's sweet, Genus. You should break that, because he's literally the bad guy, but he doesn't. So you talk to everybody, and then you go to sleep, and
What?
Weird. This is another date, because the Let's Play has a scene with Rain, and I had a scene with Colette during that time. I don't remember what happened in the scene with Colette. I just remember that it was with Colette.
She gives you... oh, wait, no, I'm thinking of earlier.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah, I can't remember what the hell happens in this scene. I definitely remember it happened, but...
Should have just taken notes.
I should have.
Yeah, I know. I was saying I should have just taken notes and saved us all the trouble. But just like, sure, I'll just do it. No, yeah, I also don't remember it. But the thing is, if I'd taken notes, I would remember. And yeah, it's a follow up scene basically where they're just like, remember ... that time ... at ... that place ... and then they talk about how they're gonna like go on a trip together.
Oh, I remember what it is. She Colette basically says that she loves when Lloyd says "welcome back," because that's the first thing he said to her after she came to it, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'll tell you that for forever. We can travel the world together, and you'll always be welcome," et cetera, et cetera.
And after this point, the whole "we're going to travel the world together" becomes a thing they mentioned a couple more times this week.
But the next morning, the elder is like, "Hey, head back into this final little forest dungeon so that you can go meet Kratos." The forest dungeon is real simple, real easy. You just have to follow this little lemur kid everywhere, and you eventually make your way back to a clearing where Kratos is. And we're like, hey, you should just not be a bad guy and help us. And he's like, no, you have to fight me in 1v1 combat. So I fought him in 1v1 combat, and he kicked my ass a lot.
This is actually a quite difficult fight. You just have to pump healing items.
Yeah, I ended up winning, but it was like dicey several times. Where like he would, because like he has all of his normal spells, but his earth spell has like rumbles on the ground, but also things that like jut up. And so I would use Tempest to like try to jump over him and get away from it. But a bunch of times when they would jut up, they would catch me in the air still. And that would get like 80% of my health down.
Yep.
And I would then like massively be spamming triangle till I could get in. And
Actually, you know what? I do want to mention a little bit, actually. So, most of this fight, I actually thought was really well designed and interesting. That thing that Sam was just talking about, I agree that it's frustrating, but also it is, actually, once I figured it out, it was actually really interesting and fun. I realized I could do one of two things. I could either use my magic block, or I could use a Tempest to just yeet way out of there. A lot of his moves are Tempestable if you understand the reads, but... one of his moves, the most common move, it's like his bread and butter combo, is a couple of hits long melee combo, and then it ends with him doing a lightning spell on you. Here's the problem with it, okay? You see him about to do it, you're like, I'm going to block. I've been playing this game long enough. I know how to get good. I know how to block when they attack me. But then the third move, the last of it, is a lightning attack. And it's like, that hits me for quite a bit of damage when I'm just blocking. I know, I'll use my magic block. You know, the special block I've already whined about where it's a special timed block. You gotta have perfect timing, and it uses MP. And you think, if this thing requires perfect timing and uses MP, it should block all damage, right? No.
Nope.
It's just protect against spells, and they still hit you pretty hard. You still take chip damage. Again, I feel like the easy-to-use block should take chip damage, and the hard-to-use MP block shouldn't take chip damage. That just makes basic gameplay sense. Anyway, no. But here's the problem with it. The magic block also has a cooldown. Sorry, not a cooldown. It has... you can't move for it. It has, cooldown. Cooldown not in the RPG modern, like, fucking... Destiny sense, like MMO sense. I mean cooldown in like the fighting game sense.
Yeah.
So the point is, if you are finally figure out how his move works and read it properly and then do your block, you can't punish him because he has frame advantage against you if you actually block his move. So eventually you realize that you just have to take the damage. That way you can actually punish him. It's really, really annoying that he has a move that either does damage or he has frame advantage, and then he'll just block when you try to attack him. Very, very annoying. Sorry, it's dumb. I am going to bitch about it. That's it. Other than that, it's a pretty good fight.
Yeah. So at the end of it, Kratos is like, okay, time to kill me now. And Lloyd is like, well, I defeated Kratos the angel, but I forgive Kratos the hero of the ancient war, the one who's been helping us. And Kratos is like, no, you don't realize I've been alive for 4,000 years. I really actually wanted you to kill me. I'm done with living. I wanted Lloyd-assisted suicide. So he turns around to force open the seal with Origin, which, as Ewan said last week or whatever, would kill him. So he does that, and everyone's like, oh shit, Ewan is there apparently, and he catches Kratos before he falls. And Ewan, like, gives him some of his own mana to keep Kratos alive, and Kratos is like, God damn it! I'm not being emotional. I'm just ready to die. I'm tired of being immortal. Someone please kill me. And everyone's like, nope. And so Lloyd is like, you can't. Once you die, that's forever. So you shouldn't want to die. And Kratos is like, whatever. Just go form your little pact. And so we go over to Origin, and we're like, is like, hey, you should join us, summon spirit. And he goes, no, I hate humans. Humans suck. The whole world is destroyed because humans suck, and they were unable to accept those people who are different. And we're like, but we're trying to fix that right now. And then and he's so like, we're trying to fix that. Do we need your help to do it? And he goes, I don't give a shit. Like, everyone was trying to fix it before, and they used me to break everything. I don't trust you. And Kratos chimes in, and he's like, I used to agree with Mythos as you did. We both learned this is wrong, but I promise Lloyd is way different. He's not like Mythos whatsoever. And Origin is like, okay, cool. Make your vow. Let's fight. So we fight him, and we win. I don't remember much about his fight. I think it went by pretty quickly. After the one with Kratos, he was very easy.
I mean, yeah, it's a normal summon spirit fight. He hits hard, has a lot of health, but again, doesn't know how to use the block button, so it's actually pretty easy to just gang up on him and beat the bazonkers out of him. He has a lot of spells that hit you wherever you are, or they hit one character wherever they are and have a big AoE. They're easy to read and easy to dodge, but they do last for a long time. So not only can you accidentally get caught by them for a long time, but also you might accidentally move into them while they're happening, which is always a fun time. You're like, oh, he's attacking my friend, not me, so I'm going to ignore it. Oh no, I accidentally walked into the AoE and then got hit for 10 seconds. Or I was doing Tempest and I Tempested into the AoE, which is pretty fun. Other than that, yeah, big squishy boy, takes a lot of hits, very easy to juggle.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting too. So after we beat the fight with Origin, everyone's like, "Oh, you did it!" But then the Crucius crystal that Junus refused to destroy flies out of his pocket and it goes over towards Lloyd, and Mythos takes over Lloyd's body. And
oh no!
Like, I'm going to steal Lloyd's body.
Tries to take over Lloyd's body.
Yes. And so apparently your date character runs up and does it. I thought it was just Colette because of the whole Chosen One thing.
Would kind of make sense. She's kind of an important character.
Yeah. But in the LP, it's Rain. But for us, it was Colette. So she runs over and pulls the Crucius crystal away from Lloyd. So Mythos is like, well, fucking fine. I'll just take over Colette then. And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to take her and leave, and there's nothing you can do about it because I'm going to blow up the Tower of Salvation on my way out. So
I'll blow up the ocean.
So he teleports away. We get an anime scene of the Tower of Salvation destroying Heimdall. So we're like, we're JRPG heroes first and foremost. Let's go save the town first. So we go to the town. We save everybody that's being smooshed under all of the things. And once you get everybody out, the tower collapses completely. And after it does, the sky turns like deep purple. And there's a giant ass planet-sized mass of mana, like 50 feet in the air. And we're like, what the fuck is that? And Kratos says, oh, that's Darius Karlon. The Eternal Sword can make the impossible possible. So he brought Darius Karlon like super duper close. Shit's fucked. So then Tabitha walks up because, spoilers, she's apparently an incredibly important character, not just a robot. So she walks up and is like, oh, Mythos has the Great Seed. He's trying to leave and take Darius Karlon with him. So you have to go and stop him. And Zelos is like, who gives a shit about any of that bullshit? Our friend was kidnapped. We have to go and save her. And we're like, okay, let's go. And Kratos says, if you use the Eternal Sword, you can use its power over time and space to go to Darius Karlon. And so we're like, okay, but first we have to make the ring thing that Zelos was talking about so that we can use the sword. So we have to go back home and see our dad. So we fly over back to Asalia, go to talk to Dirk, and Dirk is like, I really don't know what I'm doing. And Lloyd is like, that's fine, just do your best. And this is one of the, like, here at the end of the game, they're trying to make Lloyd and Kratos have a father-son relationship, and they don't. And Kratos has done nothing but bad shit to Lloyd the whole game.
Yeah, this game is pro blood family propaganda, the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's real bad. But if Lloyd and Kratos' relationship would have been better, this scene would have been really cute, because Lloyd, the whole game, is fought with 2 swords. The Origin sword is 1 sword. So Kratos is like, oh, you need to make a new sword for Lloyd. Here's this cool, awesome one. And what Dirk does is he uses Kratos' sword and his own sword and splits the Sword of Origin into 2. So Lloyd can fight with a sword from each of his dads because he fights with 2 swords. Would be really cool if I bought the whole Lloyd and Kratos relationship thing, which I don't. So,
though it is cute with Lloyd talking on and on about how he has 2 dads and that's okay, and how he loves both of his dads.
Yeah. So now that we have our kick-ass sword in hand and we can go save the world, we decide to do just that. So we make our way to the ruins of the Tower of Salvation, and we're let in on a secret. So when we've climbed this twice before, it felt like we climbed it, but actually we just walked down a hallway. There is no vertical anything to the Tower of Salvation. It is just a room because all the walls are broken down, so you can just walk straight there this time. And I felt cheated that it wasn't even a tower anymore. But so we make our way over to the old Sword of Origin, and we pick it up. It magic keys onto our 2 swords. Origin is like, so what do you want? And we're like, take us to Darris Carlon so we can save the day. So we go up to Darris Carlon, which is a dungeon that is way too big for no good reason. There are no puzzles and no interesting architecture to look at besides the 2 giant swords at one point.
It is a really huge maze floating in a fantasy, an abstract fantasy no space.
It was very, very irritating to go through that place.
I don't even know if it has any dead ends. It
has one early on.
Okay, it's mostly no dead ends. Even if there's ever an intersection and you can go left or right, pick either one. You'll either go around in a circle or you'll get to the end. You just basically start on the southwest corner of the map and head northeast in general, and go not that direction if you want to pick up some treasure chests, which I did. And eventually you get there. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real labyrinth in the Rogue Galaxy definition of the word.
Yeah,
where the labyrinth dungeon was a circle. But so we make it up to the end, and all of our friends get trapped again, and they all give us a "We believe in you" speech again, and Lloyd is left by himself again. So we then walk forward, and Colette is there with Mythos, and Mythos is like mumbling to himself, and we get a flashback of him back in the day, and Martel is like dead, and Kratos and Ewan are like trying to save her and stuff. It's I don't know why they showed us this. Like, nothing really happens in this flashback. I don't know why they waste their time with it. It doesn't really give us any information. It just, I guess, shows us that Mythos is stuck on what was happening back then. It starts off
like, remember how in Xenogears, like half of your characters are reincarnations of people from like 200 years ago, and the other half just are the character from 200 years ago, and eventually in disc 2 of the game you get this really elaborate plot about like what happened during the big war 200 years ago or something, and it's this really complicated thing. It's like that, except it lasts for 5 seconds and then you don't learn any more about it.
Yes. And so we at the end of that, we Mythos separates from Colette, and Colette is like, oh, I can't really remove this Crucius crystal. I'm sure that's probably okay, but let's go find our friends. So we do. We go back to, well, Gaia, the city on Darris Carlon, but this time there are no angels, which is weird. But
wait, hold on, pause real quick.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, where are we supposed to go? And they're like, well, Gaia?
Good one.
You're welcome.
But here we have a really kind of cool series of fights, but we're already at 1 hour and 18, so I will gloss over them. But as Lloyd, you run around until you find your party members, and when you find them, your party members are being like tempted by Mythos to give in and join him. And so for Sheena and Zelos, it's Kuchinawa and Celeste. For Genus and Rain, it's the mayor and their mom. And for Persea and Regal, it's Alicia. And so all of them are like, oh, you should join Mythos, and they all eventually say no with Lloyd's help. And you fight some monsters, get some Resident Evil style emblems to fit in some slots, open up a door for us to keep going. So we go through this teleporter, and it takes us to Mythos's castle, which is a huge dungeon that has a lot of like cool puzzles and stuff that is not important. Do not do them. The thing you do instead is walk up the stairs right in front of you. But I did a lot of pushing blocks and trying to figure out things to find the way to go, and it's literally just the stairs right in front of you.
I had a guide, guide guy, that said, fuck, sorry, my brain is fucking fried.
Okay.
You can just walk up to the door, but don't do that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that other stuff. I don't need to, apparently, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah. So, you walk up the big stairs right in front of you that I completely missed when I got in here, and you fight a dragon. And I was expecting this to be a boss fight, but it was really easy. So he goes down.
It was literally over in 15 seconds.
Yeah, tops. It was not even a big deal. So you go through the door behind the dragon, and you're in fucking Ansem's world that never was. And Lloyd is like, oh, Mythos is just ahead. Is everybody ready? And you press A for final boss. So you warp over to him, and he's like, oh, I'm going home. Everything will be okay. I'm going home. And then the Crucius Crystal jumps from Colette over to Mythos, and he is whole again. And we're like, damn it, that's why you were trying to steal our friend, is so that you could get control over your body. And he's like, duh. It's pretty obvious. So he turns into his little boy self because he wants to kick our ass as a little boy. So he tries to do so. Let me see. I don't think he says anything more important except for we're like, oh, we want to. He's like, I want to end all discrimination, and we're like, people discriminate. Like, much like that episode of Fairly Odd Parents, people will be the grayest and the blobbiest, even if you make them all gray blobs. So you can't really stop discrimination if you don't change their hearts.
Yep.
And
they say that being gray blob sounds dumb. We are simply going to try better.
Yeah, and he's like, oh well, but what about half elves? Everybody hates them, and everyone was like, don't victim blame, man. People are being racist against the half elves. It's the racists' fault, not the half elves. So differences are good. Let's fight. So we fight him as a little boy, and he's real hard. Like
It's a hard fight.
I was burning through healing items, and this is the one where I had to change up how Rain was doing her healing, because like she would be taking so long that like if I didn't use a life bottle to bring Summer back to life, we would have got game overed. So I would use the life bottle. Rain would start casting for like a minute and a half, locked into this casting thing to cast revive on Sheena, who's already alive. And it's like,
Yep.
God damn it. And so
Here's my deal with this fight. I didn't have trouble winning it, but it took forever. The dude has a lot of health and insane defense. So halfway through the fight, I actually turned the game off because I didn't realize this, but a previous cutscene had messed up my party composition, which I hadn't noticed. I probably would have beaten it, honestly, but it was taking so long that I was like, I would probably beat this boss faster if I turned the game off, turned it back on, changed my party, modified my equipment a little bit, and tried again. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, by the way. It definitely, like, once I was able to do more than... He actually wasn't hitting me that hard. I guess it's just because of the way my party was put together or something. Mm. He was, and also I'd already done all the stuff that Sam's talking about, but earlier, making rain better and stuff. So like, I mean, he hits you, but it wasn't that bad. So for me, it was just the attrition. So what was I going to say? But I realized he wasn't hitting me that hard, so I actually did modify some of my characters to do more damage. So like Lloyd, instead of being super defense-y, because usually I do go real hard on the defense because it's really easy to just get owned in this game really fast. So you want defense. But I was like, you know what? I'll prioritize offense and magic damage and stuff like that. And then it was a much more reasonable fight. Dude still got bitch amount of health, though. What's that be like?
It was the first time I really had to use any items. Lloyd got down to like 2,000 health at one point, and I got scared.
Wow.
He had like 8,000 some health by the end of it. He may have had over 9,000 now that I think about it.
What?
You over 9,000 memes,
over 9,000.
We all have to make the joke. We all have to say it because it's a thing. Yep.
But it's true. I believe he had over 9,000 health, and he got bumped down to like 2K, and I was just like, I gotta do something. Thankfully, I never used items, so I had a fuck ton.
Makes sense. It's true that.
And I mean, otherwise, it just took a while to whittle him down, but it wasn't too bad for me. Bless you, person who uploaded their save onto Steam.
Dude got like 55,000 health, and I heard he was going to take a long time, but then I did a big I did a real good combo on him that like I actually, he wasn't blocking it. Like I did a real good combo, and I was like, oh, I did like over 1,000 damage. Cool. I just got to do this 50 more times, and then I was like, oh, wait a second, I have to do this 50 more times.
So after he eventually goes down, he becomes a JRPG final boss, and he grows a robot out of nowhere with a whole bunch of arms and sparkly bits.
No cutscene or anything. It just goes directly from one fight to the next. There's not like I'm transforming, I'm gonna have a line of dialogue, I'll get you now. No, it's just like the battle ends, and now you're in a new battle, and he's a robot now.
Yes.
kind of respect that.
Yeah, he's much easier in his second one than he was in the first one. I thought he was going to be real hard, but I guess it was just the attacks that he was doing just would like wombo combo me or something in the first one, because he was real easy to take down in his second one.
It was, I mean, if you can get past the first one, you can get past the second one.
Yeah. So after we beat the game, which is what we just did, Mythos fades away into his Crucius crystal, and everyone is like, so Mythos, are you going to behave? And Mythos is like, no, I would do all of this over again. I agree with the craziness I've been saying. I would destroy the world twice over to save my sister.
Even though Martel doesn't agree with it.
Yeah. Lloyd is like, well, then fuck you, and just axes his Crucius crystal, breaks it into tiny pieces, and they kind of swirl into his X-sphere, the pieces of the Crucius crystal. Don't know why. Didn't even notice that before. I just caught it here in the Let's Play because they pointed it out. So our swords turn into the big ass origin sword, so we can cue an anime FMV to heal the world. And we heal, we shoot out giant Northern Light stuff. It goes all over the world. We see all of our summon spirits that I didn't recognize as our summon spirits, and I thought that it was showing like some other JRPG party that I didn't recognize, but it was just Sylph and Luna and stuff. So then the world is all saved. So we are teleported down to the ground, and while we're there, all of our summon spirits come out and are like, "Hey, there's still no mana leak. Y'all reunited the worlds, but there still wasn't enough mana to go around, so everything's going to die unless we get you germinate the great tree." And we're like, okay, how do we do that? Where would we find an enormous amount of mana to germinate the great tree? There surely isn't one like hanging above our heads or anything. And so we decided to use the sword to zoop some magic down from Darius Carlon to germinate the tree, but Darius Carlon is too far away. And Martel's great seed thing goes dark. Like, she's given up. And we're like, no, you can't fucking do that. We have to win. So Lloyd sprouts angel wings because this is an anime. And he uses those angel wings to fly closer to Darius Carlon so that he can try again. And Colette flies up with him, and they both use the Sword of Origin to zoop some magic down into the seed. So we get another anime cutscene where Tabitha shows up in anime because apparently she was important. And so as the great seed goes down to germinate, it envelops her and turns her into Martel, the kick-ass goddess lady. And it's weird. I guess Tabitha was important the whole time.
That scene, when this whole game has made me feel like either my constant whining about how I'm really, really tired and sleepy and stressed all the time, like maybe it really is making me unable to understand the narrative of a video game. Like, I'm like, is it me or is it the game? I can't tell. I feel like I'm going insane every time something happens in this game. Because it's not like one of those games that is like on the surface an insane video game. It's not like it is going hog wild. No, it seems pretty normal. I just don't understand what's happening. Yeah. And I don't know if it's the game or if it's me. I've read books. I understand narratives. Maybe. I hope.
So, Tabitha, now Martel, is standing in the ruins of the tower, and there's a tiny baby great tree right there. And Lloyd and Colette run up and are like, "Oh, so did we? Are you winning, son? Did we win?" And she's like, "No, the great tree will wither unless it's protected." And we're like, "How do we protect it?" And it's like, "Well, you have to provide it with love and adoration. And as long as you love and adore the great tree and you like worship it as important, it'll fuel it. Belief is a malleable, important thing," is basically one of the things this game has been saying a lot, but we've been ignoring it because we didn't think it would be important. Just like Tabitha. And so we're like, of course, we're going to, we won't let it die. We'll make sure everybody loves and worships the tree, keeps it alive. And Martel is like, okay, then you need to give the tree a new name. And it was called the giant Carlon tree, but it's but this is a new tree, and it's, instead of being here to just protect Crucius, it's here to protect humans and elves and half elves and everybody else. So it needs a new name. Colette's like, "Oh, what do you what are you going to name it? And Lloyd says, Yggdrasil. There, you don't have to play the second game. It's called Yggdrasil.
Thank you.
That's what he called it.
See, here's the thing. Would that make perfect sense? Yes, because Yggdrasil, as we all know, is a tree, but in this game it's a person. But to just to make sure that we understand, I do want to clarify why Sam is joking right now, which is that he says, I'm going to name it ... And then the game fades to white and rolls credits as a cute little, the future is yours to create kind of open parentheses, ellipses kind of ending that I thought was rather nice and poetic. But, okay, apparently according to the sequel, it's just called Yggdrasil.
Yes, so...
It's the big-ass tree!
So instead of being an open-ended, sort of thing, this is a, thousands of years prequel to the original Tales of Fantasia. So this is a winking at the audience more than an open-ended thing.
Now, that's very obviously a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. We all understand what's going on here. It's like, it's like the fucking Han Solo movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you stay for after the credits, you can check in on everybody to see what they're doing, and none of it is really important except Kratos says that he is going to leave and go to Darius Karlon and see whatever happens there, which is also set up for the for Tales of Fantasia. And that's it. We beat the game.
Hooray!
We did it, fam.
Good job, everybody.
All right, so let's listen to the final boss music and then quickly talk about our memorable moments and get the fuck out of here.
And then I can go to sleep.
Maddy, do you have any memos?
Oh shit! It's my turn already. Okay, while I'm pulling up my couple of memos, I have a couple of comments on the game. Really interesting game. Really liked it. Again, I do wish that my life had not been I really do feel like I was joking earlier about how it was. Is it the game or is it me? And spoiler alert, it's definitely at least partially both. But I did have trouble following the game. Also, one of those weeks I didn't tell y'all, but I just wasn't able to play, so I just read LP archive, watched videos, and lied and said I'd played the game, and then the next week I had to play double to catch up. I didn't even tell y'all that, but I just didn't feel like it was necessary. I don't even remember which week it was. But I think it might have been one of the weeks I did the notes. No, it wasn't. But anyway, so because of that, I had trouble following it. But that being said, the first third of the game, which I would consider everything up until going to Tefla, really cool. We talked about how it's so unique structurally. On one hand, it's a little dull and uninteresting, nothing really crazy happens. It's all just very tropey. It's all very light. On the other hand, what a really interesting and unique little structure for a game. It's very innovative. It's fresh. It's cool how it just is so reactive and real. And the second third of the game, which I would consider the rest of Disc 1, everything really gets the ball rolling. Really cool. I think a lot of it is fucking weird. And sometimes there were a bunch of times in the game when I could tell that the game was inventing a reason for us to go somewhere just so that when we go there, we can overhear a villain saying something. And then it's like, oh, that's clearly the only reason we're actually here. The game was just let's go check in on so-and-so for no reason. And then it turns out an important plot point happens while we're there. It's there's no propulsion to this narrative, but still pretty good. And the slow burn of the thing we're doing that we think is saving the world is obviously going to destroy it was cool. And then you got Disc 2, and frankly, I think it went completely off the rails. Sam, you always talk about how FF7 goes off the rails in Disc 2, but boy howdy, this game goes off the rails, I would say, 1 billion times harder than FF7 does.
I mean, I don't know how hard FF7 goes off the rails, but this one sure does.
And I don't mean it's hog wild or weird. I just mean, for example, the second to last dungeon in this game is a mysterious forest dungeon. I'm sorry, that is shit that should happen in Disc 1. Not the second to last dungeon. What an anticlimax. In between the two final dungeons, you have to go through a little cute forest with a little with a little monkey thing. No, that should have been no forest dungeon at all. It should have just been like, let's go fight Kratos, right? Yeah. The game structure is completely bizarre, and after every dramatic thing is like a totally anti-dramatic thing, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't mean literally not what's going on. I don't mean conceptually what this game is trying to do here. Also didn't understand half the plot line. But that's aside the point. Anyway, what a weird game. But also, huge... So, I don't blame them for this, because it would have been a lot of money. But, tip for any game designer in the future, if your game involves... If the ending of your game... If your game is an RPG, and the ending involves a massive, huge, enormous change in the nature of the world, do you know what needs to happen after the final boss? Can either of y'all guess?
A victory lap?
You need a fucking victory lap. Like, victory laps are cool in Dragon Quest and all, sure. You get to go back to the world that you already love and say hi to everyone. But in a game where the whole world changes at the end, I even more want a victory lap, right? Like, again, in this game, it would have required them literally making a third world map, which would have been a lot of work. So, like, sure, I get it. But also, I don't know, if I was writing this game, I maybe right at the beginning would have been like, oh shit, we should earmark some of our budget so that we can do this at the end. It's very important. Also, I have no idea what this new world looks like, right? I don't have any conception of what it is like, what is politics going to be like going forward. I would have loved to go talk to a billion NPCs to figure this out. Anyway, victory laps, very important part of RPGs, and especially do one in this specific situation. Okay, that's my rant. The game is still pretty good. I gave it 3 stars out of 4. I enjoyed playing it. It's cool that it has a New Game Plus where you can just buy, using your magic points that you've been earning the whole game, various upgrades. That's cool. That grade stuff, that weird currency we've been earning after every battle. Turns out what you do is on New Game Plus, it's like pick a cheat code to purchase. Yeah. You can purchase one that makes the game harder. You can purchase one that makes it where you keep all your recipes. You can purchase one that makes it where you keep all your equipment. You can purchase one that makes you get double XP, but you get to pick, which is cool. So ideally you would snowball through multiple playthroughs and earn more and more little cheats. Very cute idea. I really like it. I said I was going to look for my mums while doing my rant, and then I didn't. But anyway, here's a couple. First of all, when we fight Origin, no one commented on his design. He's amazing. He's just a big buff guy with some like demon legs. I don't really get it, but he has 4 arms. He has big forearms. I mean, he has quattro arms. And that allows him to do 2 things at once. He can do like a power pose and dramatically smokely crossing your arms in front of your chest at the same time, which I gotta say, that's pretty good. In the final scene, the final epilogue scene with Zelos, I don't remember what actually happened. In the final scenes, I don't really remember what happens in them, frankly, because it's not that interesting. But Colette has a scene with someone back in her hometown, and they're like, "You're the Chosen. We love you so much." And she's like, "Hey, I'm not the Chosen anymore. Remember?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome. You're not the Chosen anymore." Whereas Zelos has a final scene where he's basically telling the king to stop being bad and to be a good king instead. And the king is being like, "Man, I don't want to be a good king." And Zelos is like, "Hey, I'm still the Chosen, remember? You got to do what I say." So it's really funny having those scenes back to back. For Colette's like, "I'm not the Chosen anymore." And Zelos is like, "I will never stop milking this." Also... Zelos also says earlier that people that he likes and also people that he doesn't like, who he thinks are bad, also have the same rights to live in the world at peace, which I think is a lesson that a lot of people need to understand. And I don't just mean shitty right wingers. Okay. That's all I got so far.
Nice. I don't remember any. Sheila, do you have any?
I mean, I don't really have any memorable moments from this week. My thoughts on the game are, it was okay. It's like 6.57 out of 10. I'd say probably more like 7 to 8, because I had the ability to just blast my way through it. If I had been playing this without that save, I think I would have been incredibly frustrated a lot of times. But, I don't know. I mean, the story was interesting, but it was also very confusing.
Yeah.
It bothered me that there was like I don't need black and white villains and good guys. Like I like nuance and shades of gray, but this was like this character is a double, triple, quadruple agent, and it was really just it seemed like confusion for the sake of confusion rather than like being nuanced.
It didn't have a lot of weight to it, you know? It have twists where instead of being like, oh my god, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I found one more that I think is really important, actually. When I went to go fight what I thought was the final boss, I was doing the thing where I see if I have any good equipment. And I equip what I thought at the time was Genesis' best weapon, and maybe it is. I don't think I used Genesis again after this point, so maybe it is. But it's called the Southern Cross. And the description is a weapon that guides you to victory. And for those of y'all who don't know, the Southern Cross is a constellation that is pretty much only visible in the Southern Hemisphere. And it's very important for, like, maritime navigation in the Southern Hemisphere. You might wonder, Maddy Grace, why do you know so much about maritime navigation in the Southern Hemisphere? I don't. But it's part of a very, very important speech by my boy Eugene Debs. He uses it as a metaphor in one of his speeches, which is why I know what it is, and I really love that speech. So I found it meaningful that Genesis' final weapon is a metaphorical constellation that gives people hope. So there you go. Pretty cool.
Dope. So my thoughts on this game, as I have alluded to many times, is this definitely lays the groundwork for what's good about Tales. I've gone back and played games before this, and the combat does not feel as good. And good feeling combat plus skits plus a lot of characters that are surprisingly fleshed out for a game with like you always have like 10 or 12 characters in every game, and all of them are as fleshed out as they are in this one, or even more. And that's kind of what Tales is all about. And
nice.
It owns, and it's making me really want to go back and replay Tales of Graces or finish Tales of Berseria, which Tales of Berseria is on for like $7 in the Steam Summer Sale. So when you hear this, if you're like, man, I want to play this game, or I just finished playing this game and I want another one, the Tales of Berseria has the best cold open in RPG history, and I stand by that until I die.
Just to clarify, so you've been saying a lot about how this game was the first 3D game, and so many of the things that it does set the stage for the 3D games to come and how those are all better. How would you say this compares to the 2D games that came before it, if people are old school and think maybe we'd like the 2D games?
So the writing feel, I guess, would be a good word for it. Like the older games, because I've only played Tales of Destiny for the PS1, and it feels like a Tales game, but it doesn't have the skits and stuff in it. So it's a lot more Super NES RPG, but it's still like the world sense feels Tales-ish. Obviously it is a Tales game, but it feels very similar, but it is very different. And I don't know if I'm just real bad at the combat, but the combat feels clunky and bad in Tales of Destiny.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if it. I know Tales of. I don't remember if it's Tales of Destiny 2 or Tales of Eternity 2 for the PS2. Prior to this game is when they started doing the like aerial combos and stuff like that, and that's when it really started being more. But yeah, so if you do go back, the ironically the best one to go back backwards to is Tales of Rebirth, which doesn't have a fan translation. So learn Japanese and play that one. That's the one that's the most like this game of the 2D games. Otherwise, it's like. This was a huge shift for the series when this one came out. But all of them are great and frequently go on for super cheap. So I don't think any of them will knock your socks off, even though I think, like I've said many times, I think Tales of Graces F is in like my top 5 RPGs of all time. But it's because I like BRPGs, It is definitely like one of the best B tier RPGs of all time. It's not going to beat Final Fantasy 15
Right, gotcha.
or anything like that, but it'll definitely beat like Arc the Lad Twilight of Spirits.
I just gotta say, I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree. I'm just saying I find it very funny that you're like pulled out of a hat example of an absolute top tier, top shelf. Final Fantasy 15 is the one that I would say that is a very contested statement. I agree. I just respect it. All-time classic game, FF15, that we can all agree on is our sort of standard for this metaphor that you're making.
Yes. My final thoughts on it is when I played it the first time, I remember beating it and being like, well, that sure was a video game, and like not remembering anything about it at all. Like when we went back into it, I was remembering the like Kratos turning on you and replacing with Zelos being like before the final boss, and LOL, no, that was like a third of the way through the game. I did beat the whole thing because I'm using my New Game Plus, but I don't remember anything about the end because it did not leave an impression on me. But playing it the second time, like the plot is still bonkers and it's still kind of hard to follow, but it has a lot more feeling to it than I had thought it did before, and I ended up liking it more the second time through than I did the first time. But yeah, I still haven't decided what we're going to watch next week. It'll probably be an isekai of some sort because two worlds and shit, but we'll figure it out.
Well, let me know. Let me know as soon as possible, but for the record, because my Wednesdays and Thursdays are like my busiest days. So if you tell us on Wednesday morning, here's the movie we're going to watch, I'm going to be like, oh no. Yeah, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, I'll probably think on it tonight and tell you all tomorrow.
Cool. Thank you.
But, yeah, that will do it for the week. So if you like what you heard tonight, you can check us out on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate to us, help us keep the lights on, help us afford new video games so that we can play them. And if you do decide to donate, you can vote on our brackets. We just finished the bracket for Anacronox to be the next game that we play, which means we will shortly have a new poll on what our first game of next year will be. And we've finalized what the blocks are for next year, and it's going to be fun. And I'm looking forward to it.
We've got a really nice set of blocks. I don't think this is a spoiler. In fact, I think it's a good thing to tell y'all that the Square moratorium is continuing.
Hell yeah. And we got some good shit that is not Square coming up this year. And if you want to check all of that out, again, that's at www.rpgbook.club. And in addition to the polls, you'll also get access to the Book Club no Kaseki episodes a month before everybody else does. So go check that out, hang out with us. And yeah, I think that's everything that I normally say. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm Andrew Swevin. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Hello.
Did y'all know that Tim Rogers stealth dropped a review of Final Fantasy VI on actionbutton.net in 2019 and didn't tell anybody?
Yeah, he vaguely mentioned it in one of his other videos.
And when I say didn't tell anybody, I don't mean didn't tell anybody, but what I do mean is that if you go to actionbutton.net, the main front page always shows articles, in reverse chronological order, and the most recent review is Fairy Bloom Frisia, reviewed 9th of September 2013. So he just, that's just a fun thing that there is new written, not video, Tim Rogers content that I have to read now.
Yeah, it's really good. I think he dropped it. I think he put the release date as like Final Fantasy VI's release date, so it's like at the very beginning.
Oh, maybe it came out around the time he made that really long YouTube video that was like a review of like the box art of the game or something like that.
I think it was.
I never watched that video, even though it looked like it was probably really good, because why wouldn't it be?